Hello, everybody. After many technical difficulties, we are here. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, players. How's everybody's laptop doing? How's everybody's webcam doing? It happens. It happens. It's okay. It happens. Um, so that was an adventure. And that's where I'm going to end tonight's session with that great adventure we all just went on together. Actually, no. Let's see. We're back to Chicago, Capers, the Chicago way, where last time we left off with our intrepid group of gangsters. They had dealt with the aftermath of their big heist at the Purple Gang's warehouse, which involved Ollie having a stern talking to with Chester, who was one of the people that you had coerced into helping you, and turns out he didn't really help you too much. He kind of played the two sides against each other with the hopes of making out well, and things did not go well for him because, Ollie, what happened to Chester?
I might have relieved him of his brains a little bit.
Yeah, almost immediately upon a door being opened, because Chester had arranged for some friends to get him out of trouble if things went poorly for him, and that they attempted to do, and then things went poorly for Chester, and things went poorly for them, and you guys found yourselves disposing of bodies once again. For the most part. You're getting close. You're getting better at dealing with all of that, and Rose is finally getting a chance to show off her cleaning up skills because there's been a lot of blood to clean and a lot of bodies to dump, and
a lot of my skills are being in use, which is good because that means I might be making money at some point.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we've been glossing over the money making thing kind of in general because I tend to try not to turn games into a game of accounting. If you guys decide you want to buy something that I simply don't think you really have the funds for, like if you wanted to buy a house all of a sudden, that starts to get a little dicey. But the assumption is that people are doing little side jobs here and there. Satroka is getting paid for her singing, and Ollie's doing whatever it is he does besides drinking. So those types of things are happening. And if we want to hit on a specific moment, if you want to, you always have the opportunity to spend a moxie to manipulate the narrative a little bit. If you want to insert a little story element about something that your character does in their free time, that's as long as it's something that doesn't break the game or suddenly and I killed Al Capone, or something like that. You're welcome to introduce those things because those can become story hooks and things that we can latch onto and play with down the road. That's kind of what that use of Moxie is for. Let's see. You did all of that. You dealt with that. That took up a chunk of the last game, which was dealing with all that aftermath. Your hostess, Kieran's sort of foster mom, Maggie, seems to be a little bit on the nonplussed side about this, which is actually maybe a little surprising. That she has demonstrated she has a little bit of a vindictive side. She did get a little. She was willing to see violence done there, way back when the O'Donnellys were shaking people down. But she's suddenly having to deal with getting bodies out of the place. She seems like, yeah, okay, that's part of doing business apparently. What else did we have last time around? There was interpersonal stuff that turned into the world's most uncomfortable flirting session. We'll see where that goes down the road.
Helen set up a meeting with the Purple Gang. We can get more booze.
Right. Helen, that's correct. Yes, you've got one of the people that you turned to your side a little bit seems to be kind of on board. She was gunning for more work, for a better job. You guys did a little bit of If I recall, or am I missing? Was that the session before when you? No, it was you guys. Satroka and Ollie scoped things out a little bit with the folks at the Hawthorne.
Yeah, planted some rumors.
And like planted some rumors, right, to kind of pin the blame on the Purple Gang warehouse heist on the Irish. And Satroka found out that the drummer from the house band there is planning to get the hell out of Dodge because he sees like things are going to get potentially pretty ugly, and he doesn't want to be working at the Hawthorne when things go down. And then I believe what else was it before the cliffhanger?
Besides the fact that I went to try and find Giuseppe and found out that...
Oh, right. Yeah, Giuseppe got arrested. Giuseppe, if you recall, Giuseppe Sacramano, who is an old acquaintance of Rose. If you recall, that was the person that Rose got actually a little emotional and teared up a little bit over when she ran into him again for the first time in quite a long time out at that warehouse. That warehouse got busted. And Giuseppe has been arrested. He's awaiting arraignment. So it's a question of whether he's gonna post bail or not. And then I think that was that the bulk of it? And then we had a fellow in sort of an odd suit, kind of looked like he's maybe well traveled. Maybe he's wearing some sort of Italian or French fashion or something like that. Came up and sat down at Rose's table in the bar and said, "So where's my gun?" And we all know that Rose has a spiffy new pew 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 ice ray gun that she's been desperately trying to make work for her and has been having limited success. But that's where we leave it. So we are now standing there. Everybody's around. I've shuffled everybody's cards and recalled everything. So we're just going to go ahead and start with a fresh decks for everybody. And this fellow is... he said, "Where's my, where's my gun?" with a little bit of authority and a little bit of urgency to it, but he's not, overtly threatening. He's just kind of sitting there waiting for Rose to answer.
Well, hello there, good sir. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure you'd be willing to tell me, I don't know, maybe the details of what this thing you're looking for is?
It is my understanding that you've come into the possession of a weapon, a unique sort of weapon that does some of the things that some of these caper folks are capable of doing. That someone has somehow harnessed that kind of capability and put it into this particular thing, and you've got your hands on it. I know this because I know where it came from. I know that it did not end up with its intended recipient, and I know that it ended up in your possession. So let's just keep this simple and return it. Maybe there's even a reward in it for you.
And what type of reward would that be?
That's a good question. What would you be looking for?
Well, you see, I've really gotten used to the whole new weapon in my arsenal, and that would be the type of thing I would be looking for. So, seeing as how I currently have it and have ownership of it, I'm not certain you can give me any better deal than to just fuck off.
Well, that was incredibly impolite.
I apologize. I've been having a sort of bad week.
To be fair, it is rather rude to just sit down at someone's table and demand that they return something to you. I mean, you didn't introduce yourself, you didn't offer to buy us a drink.
Hi, Kieran. I didn't know you were coming over to the table.
thought we were all just sitting at the table.
Well, you're
At the table. And he
you're
just went-
you're all there. We hadn't specifically decided that you were at the table, but let's say sure, Kieran's at the table.
Kieran just walked up as he saw this guy in a suit start walking towards you. Because sometimes Kieran's a little jealous.
And all the time, Kieran's a little bit of a prick.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. He is.
I calls him like I sees him.
He is absolutely fair.
I think the sometimes for jealousy is a little off.
I apologize. My name is Arnold Small, and I am a purveyor of these types of goods. I know you are Rose. I don't know you, sir.
Kieran extends his hand out. Kieran O'Sullivan.
He shakes your hand.
I guess you call me the owner of this establishment.
It's a nice place.
I'm assuming this weapon was intended for delivery, and the person we're supposed to deliver to is expecting it.
It was supposed to find its way to to a recipient, to someone who paid good money for it.
And how much money are we talking about?
I'm not privy to the amount that they paid. And you're welcome to make insight checks like perception insight checks into him as he talks as well, to see if you can gauge whether he's full of crap or not.
Can I read his mind?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes, I can. Let me.
While he's reading his mind, Ollie wants to try to size him up and see if he just looks like he's about to start trouble. So I'm gonna pull, I guess, an insight or perception check.
Sure.
I only get one card, so
Of course you do.
that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to get a general sort of idea. Yeah, just kind of.
Ollie has no clue.
doing my thing.
Per usual.
Damn it! What is with me and spades?
Spades are good.
These are good.
These are good.
Well,
Clubs
spades
are
are yes. No, it's the clubs that I always get. Right, I'll
Yeah,
stay.
this time, yeah, you got a boon this time. That's good.
What were you trying to get a read on?
Like just sort of the general read of the room, the general feel of the the people and the guy talking to Rose.
Sure. With the Queen, he comes across as he seems pretty honest. Like he's legitimately, like what he's telling you about, like this weapon was intended for somebody, it didn't make it into their hands, that he's a purveyor, that he's like, his job is, basically to get this weapon to the intended recipient. That all seems kind of like it's on the up and up, but you get the sense that there's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
Is Kieran standing close enough to me right now?
Is Kieran what?
Is Kieran like standing beside me or something?
Kieran is sure nearby. Sure.
I'd say probably right next to you, yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna try and use my sleight of hand and sneak the gun into his pocket.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I want to pretend like I don't have it, so I'm gonna sneak it into his pocket.
Okay, sleight of hand. That's agility sleight of hand for the record.
Yeah. Mm.
And for the record, for those people, for people who are relatively new to the system, what that breaks down to is she's making a check. In this case, since it's against an NPC, she's making a check against his perception defense. He has a score that is like how hard it is to slip stuff by him.
2 kings and 2 jacks.
Jeez.
Well, hope you're looking forward to failing for the rest of the session.
Oh yeah.
Now you had a King of Hearts on your first flip. Are you gonna spend the chip to go back to the King of Hearts? Because I was gonna say you traded down to the King of Clubs. Yeah, that's what Moxie's there for. Yeah. So and it's train time, everybody. You get as Kieran walks over, you do your best, like, mock flirt, reach around, hug him at the waist, kind of, bat the eyelashes at him to kind of like play up this relationship that you have both established so well. And in the process, you're able to basically slide the gun into, like, under his jacket in the back, kind of under it, so it's like it's in the the traditional, like, gun down the back of at your belt, but his suit jacket now covers it. And Kieran, you are fully aware of what she just did. Like, you can't not see, feel that. You just got a gun shoved down your pants.
Because Kieran has no visible reaction.
Which says a lot about their relationship.
To be honest, I never thought I would shove a gun down someone's pants until like the 3rd date.
That's like a 4th date thing, right? Sticking something down somebody's pants.
I know.
Depends on how much chemistry you have with the other person.
Actually, in the 20s, that's a marriage thing. That doesn't happen until the wedding night, and maybe not until like the 2nd or 3rd time.
The back door, though, that might not even happen in marriage in the 20s.
Oh, yeah, it happened. They just don't talk about it. Ask any priest. Go to confession. So yeah, you've got you've passed the gun off. He's seems to be like, he's looking to cut some sort of a deal. So we get back around after all these checks to Rose. The last time you spoke, you told him to fuck off. Just to recap where we were at in that conversation.
Yes. As I said before, once again I apologize for my rudeness. I've been, as I said, having a pretty bad week. I don't think that there is anything that you could possibly offer me that would make me give up this gun. So unless you have a better offer...
My employer is willing to offer $5,000. He says, I say that loudly, so that you can all hear me. He said that quietly at the table because there's other people in the speakeasy here.
5,000, huh?
And for the record, in today's money, that's closing in on $100,000. It's like $75,000-$80,000. Yeah.
That's enough to like buy a house and also a warehouse and also a house for your children. It's nothing to sneeze at. May I ask who would be so gracious as to put up such a number as 5,000?
That would be my employer.
And their name would be?
I'm not at liberty to reveal that.
All right. Kind of pat Kieran on the leg ever so slightly with my elbow. Like, this would be a great thing for you to do, like, magic stuff.
I will use hypnosis on him.
Okay.
With the... Let's go... amnesia, and since he probably doesn't want to reveal this information to me, we'll also go deep boost.
Right. So amnesia, so that he won't remember this happening to him, and deep boost that you can pull like a secret. Basically, you can pull something that he's not going to be actively thinking about too often.
Okay. I pulled a king of spades, and I'm going to stick with that.
His employer's name is Angela Small. You don't know that, Rose. For the record, he introduced himself as Arnold Small.
And would I be able to ask him, and how are you related to your employer?
You could how do you know your employer? What's your history? I mean, any question? Yeah, like you could. Yeah.
What's your relationship with your employer?
My employer employs me.
So strictly business, not family, friend, relation.
Pleasure.
I'm careful. I'm not at liberty to discuss my relationship with my employer. The matter at hand is the weapon. And the money. $6,000.
Oh, wow. The money just went up. So your employer wants it that badly that they're willing to raise the price to purchase it.
I have been given some liberties.
How far do your liberties stretch?
I wouldn't be much of a businessman or negotiator if I told you that. Satroka and Ollie, what are you up to?
Ollie's just drinking and watching this go down, I think. I'm alert in case something goes sideways.
Yeah.
But after the last couple of situations, I think Ollie's gonna sit this one out for a minute.
Every time when Ollie gets involved, people get shot in the head.
Last time. Well,
yeah, and I mean, I think Satroka's feeling like she doesn't want to overstep.
Okay.
Right now.
Just checking.
Felt that way recently, so she's keeping an eye on everything. She's keeping an eye on everybody. She's also keeping an eye on any women who are checking out all.
If either of you want, have any tricks up your sleeve, I know, Ollie's powers lean toward just like him being super tough. Satroka has other capabilities, and that goes to just skill checks and stuff too. If you want to make a check to because you can be overhearing this conversation, eavesdropping, and making insight checks, or any just like feel even though the conversation is taking place with these other two characters, please do interject if you feel it you want to throw in there. I don't want you to sit too much because
if I have I can give them something if they need it, but I don't seem to need anything right now. Oh wait.
Okay. So yeah, he's not going to reveal how high he's willing to go.
Actually, I think Ollie is going to get up and wander over at this point, and kind of pull up a chair to the table, and look at the gentleman, and say, all this talk and you come into a bar and you haven't had a drink yet. Why don't we get you liquored up a little bit and then we can talk business?
I'll come over with some vodka, some shot glasses.
I'm going to slide a beer to him that I carried with me.
He doesn't accept that.
I'll pour him a fresh shot of vodka.
He waits for you to pour the shot for somebody else as well.
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take
It's
one.
all from the same bottle. It's yeah.
And he does one of those where, he's happy to have a drink with you. He takes the shot glass up and he kind of holds it up and kind of waits to see if anybody else is going to actually
Oh yeah, I'll drink.
drink it. Okay, so you actually swig it back. When other people swig it back, he does as well. He doesn't just start drinking strange drinks given to him.
What, you're
Attaboy,
a
attaboy.
complete idiot?
So I could have
Where's
drunk
my
it
glass
away.
along with the
Of course, Ollie could drink poison right now, and immediately cure himself, and actually get this guy. But yeah,
Now,
he
Ollie
doesn't know that.
smiles big and says, "Attaboy. What about we make this a little interesting? It seems that my friends here are curious as to how high you're willing to go. Now, I understand a good businessman like you is not going to reveal his cards right up front. Wouldn't expect you to. But what if we make a game out of it? Let's say, look, get some shots at the table. The first person that has take them anymore backs down. If I win, we just max it out. You take your gun, you go home, and you just whatever you're at liberty to give. That's what we'll call a deal. If you win, you get to take the gun free of charge. Nothing, just straight up.
Rose slaps Ollie on the wrist and says, "This is my gun, Ollie."
The fellow here, Arnold, kind of looks at Ollie, chuckles lightly, says, "I've drunk with Irishmen before, and I'm going to have to decline that offer."
Ah, what a shame. Would have been a good game.
Now, Miss Rose, your thoughts? Can we make a deal, or am I to return and tell my employer that you will not be handing over the weapon?
Well, here's the thing. You said you're not at liberty to tell me your limits. I would be willing to sell the gun to you for 7,500, and not any less.
Done.
All right, Kieran, give me my gun.
Put it on the table.
I want to see the money first.
Just a moment. He reaches into his jacket, kind of opens up the front of his jacket, goes in and produces a briefcase that was clearly not there.
Nice hidden pocket you have there. I have one too. It's called Kieran.
Ollie looks a little impressed. He's seen this trick before, though.
And he opens up a briefcase, and inside are a whole bunch of $20 bills, which is about as big as they generally come. You can actually get $50 bills. Yeah. Just a glance looks like, yeah, probably around $7,000 or $8,000 without, actually sitting down to count it. Doesn't seem like it doesn't look obviously too small.
Mm-hmm. I want you to flip through it just quickly, so that I know that all of them are real and not just the one on top and the one on the bottom.
Sure, you do the flip, and it's like, it's pages cut out of the newspaper. No, it's you pick up one stack and flip through it, and it's all bills.
All right, you got a gun. I hand it over to him. Grab the case. What a lovely transaction.
He takes the gun, stows it in his jacket. Just whoop. What the heck was that? Okay. And he says, he picks up his hat, puts, he had placed it on the table, puts it on, gives a little tip, says it was a pleasure doing business.
Why don't you get one more for the road? Celebration of a job well done.
That won't be necessary, but thank you.
I'll have yours then.
He just He smiles.
I hope we'll do more business in the future.
At that moment, about 10 feet away from him, like in plain view of everybody who's in the bar, there's a rip in the air. Just cuts down the middle of the air and it slides open, and you're looking through what appears to be some sort of a window into it appears to be like a building that's been burnt out or has otherwise been destroyed in some way. It's charred, and there's broken bits of furniture, and everything's kind of charred. Standing in the building, hello, is a cat. Standing in the building is a cat. It's gigantic. It fills up the whole window that Ollie is looking through. No, there's three people, 2 women and a man, who are all standing, dressed in nice clothes, standing in this burnt out building, holding Tommy guns. He steps through the window, and it starts to close behind him. Kieran, you get a piercing headache.
Okay.
And Maggie does as well. And Maggie screams and falls over behind the bar.
I'll run over and help her out.
And the window closes. And as the window closes, the stabbing pain in your brain, the really horrible part of it, kind of stops and turns into a dull ache that lingers for a while.
Well, that was a hell of a thing.
Oh, God.
I never.
Troka, could you do that?
Not with the window, no. But I can do with hiding the briefcase. Yes.
I sort of mumble to Ollie and Satroka. I just kind of point towards Mug. Just go. Is she okay?
Is she?
Ow. Oh, God.
She's unconscious. She's breathing, but unconscious.
Okay, I'll pick her up and take her upstairs to her room. Make her comfortable in bed.
Okay. Siobhan, her daughter, helps and gets her out of there. Ben, the bouncer, kind of freaks out at all this going on. Now he goes and starts ushering the clientele, your regulars and everything that are here, kind of not like kicking them out, but asking them nicely to finish up their drink, the drink that they have, and then he starts to kind of nudge people toward the door. Elsie, your bartendress, decides, she doesn't serve anybody else. She kind of starts to close up. She locks down the register, and she comes to check on you as well, Kieran. Elsie is not related to you. She's not related to Maggie, but you are, kind of. It's like a little family,
Right.
So she's seeing how you are.
I pat Kieran on the shoulder and be like, "Are you alright?"
Felt like my head was going to explode. Never felt pain like that before.
Well, whatever you felt, definitely must have been felt by the big boss lady. So
Why?
Maybe.
She doesn't have gifts as far as I know. Unless she's been hiding something from me.
Well, if it was due to gifts, then Ollie and Satroga would have definitely gotten hit with it as well. So, the only thought could be it must be something we're not ready to know yet.
As you are talking, Ben gets the rest of the drinkers to wrap up. Even one person had most of a beer left. He just tells them just take the glass. It's okay. Just take the mug. Just bring it back. Bring it back tomorrow. And he sets about kind of locking the place up for the night. This was in the evening, so you would have been open for a little while longer, but he goes ahead and just kind of locks up. And then at this point, Ben and Elsie and Siobhan all kind of start to take turns kind of checking on Maggie, and then also checking in on Kieran. Down here, you're conscious, but Maggie's not. So they're all just kind of chipping in and playing nurse to make sure Maggie's all right, keeping an eye on her.
Something I've never really done in game, at least, to talk to Siobhan.
Sure.
Is there anything special about Maggie that I don't know about? I mean, I've never seen someone... It seems like we were the only two people in the whole bar that were affected by whatever that was.
She says, "Well, I've never known Mum to have headaches or have fainting spells. I don't know what just happened." Was it just? I mean, what happened? What happened to you?
There was a rift opened in the air, and it led to someplace else. I don't know where, but then there were people on the other side, and all of a sudden it just felt like my head was ready to split open. It's like my mind was on fire.
Maybe we should get Maggie some ice.
And then the rift closed, and my headache went down to a dull pain, but still.
I've never heard of such a thing happening. I mean, I know people who have terrible headaches that feel like they can't even concentrate. They can't fall asleep. Nothing. I mean, more so than just the type of headache you get from being hungover. But I've never had one. I've never known Mum to have one. Though, I mean, that said, I haven't known her my whole life, or I haven't known her whole life. She, sometimes these things come and go, I suppose. I don't know.
I think whatever that rift was, I think that's what caused her to have the headache. I think it's what caused me to have the headache. I don't know why.
Pardon the interruption, but maybe it wasn't the rift itself. Maybe it was one of the people on the other side. You seem to have a sensitivity about you. Perhaps there's someone else with maybe a counter to that of some sort.
But why would it affect Maggie?
That I can't tell you.
That's the part that bothers me.
Why don't we go ask her when she wakes up?
It's not a bad idea.
It certainly beats sitting here and speculating.
Well, I did get one thing out of that exchange.
A lot of money?
A name. Angela Small. I know who his boss is.
And yes, we also did just get a bunch of money. Which, by the way, Kieran, 3,000 is going to the bar.
It's awfully generous of you.
Well, I like it here. So...
Does that mean we still have to pay for our drinks?
Yes, I would think so.
Everybody gets free drinks except for you.
Actually, that's something I've been meaning to bring up with all of you.
Here's your bar tab.
I don't think Maggie appreciates us leaving corpses, and I look pointedly at Ollie. Leaving
I didn't
corpses.
leave him here. I drove him down to the river.
You shot him point blank range in the bar.
While he's talking, I'm going to slowly, creep away.
How long? I was coated in blood. And
You and me both,
other
friend.
things that I'd rather not think about. And I get the feeling that Maggie doesn't appreciate us bringing this much heat and danger into her.
That's
business.
fair. I can appreciate that.
So we
Job needed to be done, though.
We need a place of our own where we can meet.
Oh, that sounds like a fantastic idea.
Well, luckily we just got enough money to purchase a house.
Or a bar, whatever you all would like. But we need a secondary base of operations, someplace where we can organize, someplace where we can have interrogations, someplace where
We could entertain people.
yes.
What about we buy a house? We can have drinks in basement.
That would work.
It would be a good cover. Say we just live in our neighborhood and have random parties every week.
I mean,
This is the
I
big
expect
gap.
Ollie would. If Ollie had his own place, I could see him having a party every week.
Oh,
Actually, I could see him having a party every night.
Every day is a party.
yes.
Though I may have an issue. Seeing as how I pretty recently moved into a new apartment, I have a kind of lease agreement that has been signed. And I can't necessarily leave there like I did my last place so swiftly.
So how much does the apartment building
I was gonna say you currently have enough money to buy yourself out of the a full year's rent out of that apartment like 20 times over.
You know, Ollie does bring up a good point. How much is that apartment building?
The building.
Buy out the building.
I don't know. I'd have to check with the manager first. And then check with all the tenants if they're willing for me to purchase out their part of the building.
The building's going condo.
It's contract work, you know?
Well, there's only a handful of suites in there. That would be great. Would end up working out, but
I'd put that apartment building somewhere in like the $40,000 range.
Oh, well, okay, so it's a big apartment building.
Well, I mean, it's
It's nice.
suites or something.
it's
It brings in money.
it's like a 4-story walk up. Like it's a decent sized.
Yeah. It's the lease I had to sign for, like, it has a chunk of time that I have to wait before I can get out of the lease. Unlike my last crappy apartment, where I could get out of it in a snap.
Yeah, that's probably like 40. I mean, it's not a fancy place. It's not like, so even being furnished and everything, like, because
But it's a big place.
but it's a good sized place. Yeah,
It's
you're
definitely
looking at $40,000-$50,000.
Okay.
Well, Rose, no one's saying you got to live in this new place we pick up. We're just going to have some place for business.
If you wanted to do, if you guys wanted to do a house of some sort, that's like, you've got enough money. You just made enough money right now as a group, just on that exchange to buy a house.
I like maybe we buy a house and me and Ollie live there and we thing and then you live there to make cover for us.
Ollie's getting a little
Yes.
uncomfortable at this house stuff.
Extended cover.
Well, that's actually not a bad idea.
Well, and in order to have this cover really hold up in court, we should probably get married.
And then have kids. Because everyone
Ollie
in the
starts
street has
thinking away.
kids.
I
Kieran just gets this
I
wicked
love
look
playing
and
characters.
looks right at Ollie.
I just love playing characters that do things that I would never do.
Yeah. Well, we've got all these characters that are out to be gangsters and make money and live a lifestyle, and it's like, but then there's the one person in the group that's just like, I'm just out for a husband. I'll trick a husband in as.
Both.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. We can handle if you guys want to do anything housewise and all that. When as time passes, we can. In between sessions, maybe we can work out, that sort of thing. And there's opportunities for more than what you guys can afford right at this very moment, too, assuming your business kind of gets up and running. And there's nothing that says you have to buy the building outright right now. You could actually start to pay for it. You could you could do like what people do and get a loan. You've got make a down payment and start paying several $1,000s in paying off several $1,000s in principal every month, and the government's like, where's that money coming from?
Hey, Kieran has an account.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's all part of the whole business association that you're setting up right now, which is to, you got
Are we
front.
gonna start a homeowners association after this?
You can have front business, front businesses and all that sort of stuff. We're not going to get, deep in the weeds on that, but we can certainly establish that you guys set up front businesses. And actually, you've got a perfect front business in the form of parents of one of your members, one of your number right here, a jewelry store. You could very easily cover significant sums of cash in transactions coming out of a jewelry store.
Yeah, and I think they'd be up for that.
As long as they get their taste.
Yeah, as long as they are getting paid, and their daughter's
happily married to a nice Irish boy.
Yeah, mom on that subject, but
Anyway, okay, so yeah, you've got let's back at hand. Kieran with a terrible headache and Maggie.
Back onto the conversation of houses and places to stay. Seeing as how I have a bit of free time sometime in the weekend, besides Saturday, I would like to invite you to a dinner at my place.
everybody or just me?
Everybody.
Nice.
Sounds lovely.
If you have an ulterior motive that you need to talk to me about, let me know.
I do.
I'm just checking.
I will bring good vodka.
I'm gonna prepare my detoxify boost.
Okay, so anything else here, or are we're gonna roll time forward a little bit?
Let's fast forward. We got gangsters stuff to do.
Yeah, you've got a couple days later. Hey, we're back to Rose. Rose gets word through her informants that Giuseppe Sacamano's arraignment has been set, and that he's going to be going in. Actually, I mean, you find out about this a few days in advance. He's going to be going in for arraignment tomorrow. And he's basically tomorrow afternoon, and this is like a typical arraignment for a crime. It's like you could be in the courtroom if you wanted to be. And arraignment is like, as simple as like he goes up there and charges are read and, the plea is put in, and, then it's a question of whether or not he's going to have bail set.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to the court on the court day just to sit in and hear how much his bail is going to cost.
So that day the next day, do you take anybody with you or talk to anybody?
I take Satroka with me.
Okay. You guys go to the courthouse, Cook County Courthouse, and arraignment is called. He's brought in. Charges are basically a violation of the Volstead Act, which is to say transportation and distribution of liquor and beer of alcohol, and the assistant DA makes a very pointed argument about pointing out that it is strongly believed that that Mr. Sacamano is working for Alphonse Capone, and the judge, in the process of arraigning him, basically decides to make an example and denies Giuseppe bail. When he is denied his bail, he kind of freaks out and gets very emotional. And he doesn't like get up to flee or anything, but he gets up and he turns around and he kind of you're right. You and Satroka are sitting right, in that front row, right back behind him, right behind the defense bench or the defense table. And he, like in his shackles that are in, because this is like they didn't make him look pretty and everything. He's like, in like the black and white outfit and the shackles. He reaches out and like gets very emotional with you, and says. Like, Rose, and he reaches out like he's trying to hug you. He's clearly distraught.
Rose is grabbing onto Satroka's arm so that she can't reach out and hug him, and covering her mouth and trying not to cry, which is very hard to do, but she's trying.
He looks very dejected at this response. Satroka, give me. I'm gonna make Rose. You're just balled up with emotion at this point. Satroka, give me perception insight.
Good. That's even worse. I'm gonna go back to the 9. Okay.
He this, like, from what you've seen of his relationship with Rose, seems a little incongruous. He was kind. I mean, he was actually he kind of blew her off, if you recall, back at the warehouse when they first ran into each other. But then later he was a little more friendly toward her. He was, his explanation at the time was that he was upset. He was angry about stuff, and as it turns out, there was the whole Little Bill thing that was going on with the dead body, and he was trying to figure out all of that. And then there's the whole kerfuffle with all of you. That also resulted in Ollie killing somebody. And I'm just going to point that out every time. But he seems like there's like you can't put your finger on it with the 9, but there's something about him that seems like he's play acting a little bit. Like there's something going on, and you both see when he does that, puts on his display, he drops a folded piece of paper on the other side of the bar. The little wall that separates the spectators from the lawyers. He drops a little folded piece of paper, and then after you don't respond to him, he kind of sniffles and composes himself and turns back around and the bailiff comes over and grabs him and starts to haul him off.
So is she like not allowed to hug him? Is that why?
I don't know. I mean, she chose not to.
Oh, okay. I would like to use my sleight of.
You would imagine that at the very least she probably would have been reprimanded by the court.
Yeah.
Rose was thinking to herself that if she stood up right now after he had been charged with having alcohol in his possession and selling alcohol, that she might be pointed to in the court as someone who might be selling or carrying alcohol. So she can't hug him, but she feels very much like she wants to hug him, which is why she's holding onto Satroga right now as like a, please
Yeah.
make me
I act like I'm holding her back, Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll you want to use my sleight of hand?
Okay.
To pick up the note about the note.
You reach down to tie your shoes or something. Agility, sleight of hand. Yeah, sure. I mean, because there are people around.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm trying to do it sneaky like. That's not great. Oh, well that's
Joker.
But that's the good Joker. You're like, yoink. Thank you. You put out your hat. You get some tips. I mean, it's a great show.
Pockets in the process.
yeah. I maybe get a couple, maybe a new necklace.
Yeah, you grab the note.
And somebody's watch. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you grab the folded up paper.
And it goes into my secret pocket.
Sure.
Because it needs to be kept extra safe. I don't know that nobody saw me, so.
Right. And just here's the deal with a good Joker. You're damn sure, like you styled that. That was like the best sleight of hand you've ever done.
And I'm like, and nobody saw it.
Well, Rose saw the note drop. I mean, okay. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Giuseppe's hauled out by the bailiff. The court moves on to the next arraignment, and we're to the two of you.
All right. I'll as we're leaving, I got her arm. I'm just gonna pat her arm, and like I'm comforting her, and I'll say quietly, I got the paper. And we'll, I guess, let her know what it was like.
Okay, well, I mean, you can when you get out of there, you can take a look at it. It's once you're kind of away from everybody, there's like it's no longer a suspicious thing once you're kind of out of the courtroom.
Yeah. So so then I'll take it out and show it to her.
Okay. You open up the paper, and it's just it's a little map, and it's got tomorrow's date on it. It's got 11 a.m. written, and it says it's got like a little box that says holding, and it's got a little box that says CCJ, which is you've seen that abbreviation. That's Cook County Jail, and it's got like a couple of streets noted and like a route.
Okay.
He wants us to break him out.
And now we're going to go to Kieran and Ollie, and the two of you can chat in the voice in the type chat between the two of you if you want to. Yeah, somebody Owen, smart guy. Prison break. Kieran, you are Helen arranges your meeting with Ray and Izzy Bernstein from the Purple Gang, who are in town. It just so happens to be taking place at the time when Giuseppe's being arraigned. Haha. And of course it is. And it might not be a bad idea to take along some muscle, just in case things go south.
Hey, that sounds like me. Out of character, by the way.
And you are Helen informs you that she's made arrangements for you to meet them at kind of neutral territory. This is going to be like outside of your neighborhood, over on the like the southeast side of Chicago, at a little hole in the wall. We'll just say it's called the hole in the wall. That's what people refer to it as, the hole in the wall. Just a little.
Is it a literal hole in a wall?
It's a little back. It's a little back. It's like it's a little speakeasy in the back of a retail area. There's like a bunch of little shops and stores and everything, and it looks like it was probably a storage space for, at some point, like the retail areas have been like there were all these little shops, and like this one expanded into that, and this one got and then this one got renovated, and there's been all sorts of changes and everything. And at some point there were like storage spaces, storage rooms back behind all of this, these different little shops, and a couple of those storage rooms were basically converted into a little bitty speakeasy, and they just busted a giant hole in the wall between the two of them in order to connect them, and they haven't actually taken the time to finish it out nicely or anything. So people refer to the place as the hole in the wall. And it's just you go through a back door.
I think we should just take a moment and celebrate Craig's spontaneous world building right there. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the. I better make a note because you guys are going to want to go back there. I'm going to have to come up with all the NPCs and everything now, right, too?
Oh, of course. Like right now.
Well, the bartender's named Bob.
They're all named George, just like George Foreman's kids.
Your Helen arranges. She arranges to just kind of introduce you, and then she's going to, she's not going to be doing any of the negotiating. She's leaving that to you. It's your gang, as she says. But she let me double check something.
Should we call it our gang, or is the name taken?
What? Yeah, no. The two of you. She introduces you to Ray and Izzy. Ray is kind of a real straight-laced, button-down looking guy, with his hair slicked back with like an inordinately large amount of hair of pomade, of hair grease. And Izzy is visually like the opposite. She's got big, frizzy, long, curly hair that looks like it probably takes a great deal of effort to control, and she's just kind of given up on it. They're both dressed nicely, but her hair is and they're seated. Helen comes up and says, introduces each of you. Ray, Izzy, or she says, Ray, Isidore, this is Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. Morrissey. I'll get out of your way. She has there's a bit of, she's paying a little bit of deference, she's being respectful, but there seems to be just a tinge of fear in how she's reacting to them. And she goes out of the little room that you're in, through the hole in the wall, to the other part of the bar, and just kind of sits down and has a drink. She's well out of earshot. This place is actually a little on the crowded side, but that makes it kind of noisy. And Izzy looks to the two of you. So things are getting fun here in Chicago, huh?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it, yes.
Looking to make a little money, make a little scratch. Don't want to deal with the Italians. She looks to Ollie, the big, like clearly Irish dude. Why don't you want to just deal with O'Banion? Why don't you just join his crew? I don't understand what this is all about.
Because those two crews are about to go to war, and we want no part of that war. And I don't think you do either.
That's fair. We've had good business here, but recent happenings have soured us to dealing with those Irish fellas. And frankly, if it was just Giattatorio running things, I wouldn't have a problem. But that Capone, he's bad news.
Couldn't agree more.
Wouldn't be bad if I wouldn't shed a tear if somebody took him out. Just saying. So you're looking for some supply? Maybe
That's right.
a little something from Canada. We get a little bit of stuff from around Detroit as well. Mostly from over the border, though. And at this point, she starts to kind of talk numbers, and rather than bore all of you with actually talking numbers, it basically comes down to whether you arrange like an even deal, a good deal, or a bad deal.
Kieran would probably...
And the cops are here! And they bust the speakeasy.
It's funny because they're coming down the highway near. I can hear it from here and from in real life here.
That's the worst when the cops are coming from two different directions. Like then you know you're really pooched.
Yeah, nowhere to go.
That's a really wide pincer attack from Georgia to Canada.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kieran would probably shoot for closer to a good deal for them.
Oh, good deal for them. Like you're willing to eat it a little.
I'm willing to eat
just
a little,
just to
because I want them to think that we are maybe just a teensy bit desperate, not actually like super desperate, but I really do honestly want them to sell to us, and I don't want to screw them over because what we did got what I wanted to come across, but they're also on the defensive right now. They're looking for people to try to take advantage of them. So in Kieran's mind, if we come at them and try to be honest and forthright and maybe even just a teensy bit generous, they're going to be more likely to want to sell to us and continue to sell to us.
Okay.
Ollie has no idea what's a good deal or a bad deal, so he's just going along with whatever Kieran says.
Okay. Let's do this. Let's so are you being straightforward about all of this? Basically like you and Izzy start to kind of talk numbers, and you give me first give me perception insight to just get a read on Izzy.
Okay.
And Ollie, if you want to be doing anything while you're kind of hanging in there, but by all means, let me know.
Helen's reaction also sort of colored Kieran's approach to this because the fear in her eyes let Kieran know that these are not people that you want to necessarily mess with in a way that they would know about. Right.
Yeah, like Ollie, give me perception sense while because you're the lookout, you're the muscle and just kind of watching Kieran's back here.
So I'm doing perception.
Perception insight to get a read on Izzy.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Like, is Izzy out to screw you? Is she like? Does she look like she's gonna make a fair deal? That sort of thing to kind of get an idea of what's up with her.
I'm gonna burn a willpower, or not willpower. I'm sorry. Burn a moxie.
Yeah, Ollie, you got moxie if you just.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to. I only have 3
Okay.
moxie. I don't know that I necessarily want to spend one on this.
You don't want me to coerce you into burning through your moxie and then have everything hit the fan?
Yeah, pretty much. So, also, kind of like it's not really in character for Ollie to be very perceptive.
No,
So
that's
I'm
fine.
okay with it.
4 of spades.
4 of spades. All right. Well, Izzy, man, you do not have a good read on her at all at this point. However, you failed that with spades, which is motivation. So as we go into actual negotiation, you've got an extra moxie, and we'll do it like this. We've got an extra moxie. Hold on. Huh. I can't change the color. I was going to see if I could change the color on one of them really easily. So, but this is we'll do it like this. Where's Kieran? Put this one down here. That's the one that you gotta spend next round or you lose it. The one that's out on the edge of the table. So give me a charisma based check, whatever. Based on how you're approaching this, you're basically
Charisma diplomacy.
you're being
straight with it.
pretty honest about everything. Sure.
10 hearts. 3 of hearts. Jeez.
You got that moxie.
There goes that moxie. And, jeez, I'm gonna spend 1 to go back to the 10. So 10 of hearts.
Okay. You end up. She offers you a deal. You were going for a little bit of a bad deal on your end. She offers you a worse deal than that. Like, this is. Remember when I said, you're looking for is an even deal, a good deal, or a bad deal? This is a bad deal. This is not just like a little bit of a bad deal. This is a bad deal. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're going to get liquor. You're going to get alcohol out of it, and but you're spending too much money. Your profit margin's going to be tight, or you're going to have to raise your prices. And you're also going to have to explain to the other establishments in your gang why it's costing so much. Until such time as you can try to barter a better deal. Now, you can counter offer and make another check.
And Kieran is definitely going to counter offer because he's actually a little angry at them for trying to take advantage of him like this when he's not trying to take advantage of them. Like, he was trying to show them respect and deference, but now they've pissed him off.
Okay, well, you're going to do this with disadvantage now.
Okay, that's fine. So let me see if I understand the situation correctly. Then
just let me do this because I'm always forgetting to do this stuff. For everything back at the bar, everybody should have been pulling a moxie out of that, and then another one to Rose. Satroka's full up. Another one to Rose because for the everything at the courthouse. So just to be fair on all of that.
All right, so I will have Kieran make his check, and we'll see how good of a job he does at counter-offering. Here we have clubs. Queen of clubs.
Very good. Clubs.
I want to spend a moxie.
Only you spend the moxie to change the suit. That would be nice.
The Moxie cards that you can get that give you the additional options and everything. One of the things in there, one of the cards in there, if you get the right card, is to switch the suit of your card to hearts. I think, if I remember correctly, it's hearts because you don't get to switch it to spades because that gives you a boon. I think it's hearts, which doesn't help you with color damage kind of stuff, but it helps you with everything else. It makes it a pretty solid.
Do I spend a moxie or do I stick with Queen of Clubs?
Well, if you spend a moxie, you could potentially pull something bigger or smaller and then have to spend another moxie to go back to your Queen of Clubs. So, how much do you want to spend?
Hey, everybody else, chime in. Rose, Satroka, what do you think you should do? It's like they pop in the door, just start shouting instructions at him.
Terrible things always happen for me.
Now you could also spend a moxie and just gain a boon on top of your clubs.
That's true. You could keep the queen of clubs, take the what you're assuming is going to be a success with some sort of complication, and then spend a moxie to throw a boon on top of it. That doesn't negate the complication, but it gives you, something.
It depends on whether or not Kieran is a betting man.
That is true.
Odds are good at this point in time, I think. So.
During playtesting, I occasionally would have people screaming at each other at the table about whether they should flip another card or not. I had a very boisterous group.
Moxie to sacrifice yourself and go out in a blaze of glory.
I don't think Kieran's quite ready for that moment yet.
All right, Kieran, what do you?
He hasn't even gotten to our date yet. Of course he's not gonna.
I will spend a moxie to gain a boon.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna say with the check and the boon, queen is very solid, and a boon, you get yourself kind of to the deal you wanted to get to. Izzy's a little impressed with your moxie, with your chutzpah, actually, she would say, being a Bernstein, and she says, oh, okay, well, we'll swing you, this deal, blah blah blah, rattle some numbers off, and we might, considering everything that's going on here, we've got other interests in the city. We might need to call on you for a favor at some point. Is this amenable?
Agreed. I think we can do business.
Fair. I like the sound of a favor.
Okay, so you basically get a deal where you're going to be spending about $5,000 a month. That's not just you. Keep in mind that is all of your different little businesses, all the different people, all your establishments in your little gang. Not to sound demeaning, like in your little gang. For stock that will keep you fine, keep you stocked well. All the businesses will be all the speakeasies will be stocked well, but it's like you were shooting for. It's a little bit less. It's basically you could keep all your prices the same. It's gonna eat into your margin a little bit, but it's not going to destroy your margin. So you're still gonna make money off of it. You get Ray and Izzy decide. They make the deal with you. Izzy offers her hand to shake. Offers to shake your hand. Shake her hand. She does the spits in it and the whole 9 yards for that. And they sit to have a drink, and if you hang around to have a drink, they'll sit and chit chat with you. They don't it's everything turned as soon as the deal is struck, her demeanor changes. Now she's just like somebody that's hanging out at the bar.
And yeah, Kieran will spend a little time there. He'll chit chat with them a little bit, try to get to know them a little bit better, and see if now that their guard's down, if he can maybe they'll let a little something slip that he can use later.
Okay. While you're doing that, give me perception sense.
While he's got his eye out, Ollie is definitely drinking and encouraging her quite heavily with him. And he keeps ordering more rounds. As people's glasses get about halfway down, they all have another round ready for him. And he's just knocking them back. And when he gets a little too tipsy, that detoxify boost.
A moxie for each of you, and Kieran gets an extra one for accepting having to fulfill a favor later.
So perception insight or
perception sense.
Perception sense.
Just curious, when would someone ever need to pull a resilience check?
That would come out of you never will, because you're not going to be affected by being drunk, being poisoned, being all that stuff because of your exceptional resilience.
Which also is at 5, so if I had to pull one, I would have lots of cards to pull.
Yeah,
but-
so I mean, even if you know, well, I mean, like what happens with you is like if you run into a situation that you haven't already prepared yourself with for the boost, like you do have to make a check, you've got a 5 cards. Resilience,
Hold my breath underwater or something.
resilience for holding your breath, for withstand. Basically, if you get forced into a situation where you're up long hours without sleep, keeping your focus and not suddenly having to suffer disadvantage on everything because you're tired, withstanding pain, torture, basically anything that and then it of course extends to keeping your wits about you when you're drunk, dealing with poison or disease or toxin or. It's not the most useful. I shouldn't say it's it's not that it's not useful.
got plenty
It's
of
just
these.
it's one of those traits. It's one of the traits that's a little more narrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, it affects your current hits too. So
Yeah, that's true. It does affect you. I mean, your hits are what now? 20?
18.
18. They're getting
Might as well be.
yeah. So yeah, you got a 6 of diamonds, huh? Is that all you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to my moxie for now.
Okay. You chit chat with Izzy. She's
I'll pull one to see if I see anything. Nope.
she's perfectly pleasant and interesting, and she just kind of chit chats about without really talking about business. She's kind of alluding to how business is going, and it seems like it's going relatively okay. But like she said earlier, she's getting out of the O'Banion and Capone business. The entire time you're sitting there, Ray never speaks once.
Does he drink?
He does. He has a drink while you're sitting there, but he does not. He never once speaks.
That's fine by Ollie. He just doesn't trust anybody that doesn't drink.
So you wrap up your meeting, and the next day, everybody's all back together. Sun goes down, sun comes up, and Rose has a decision. Welcome to the Rose-centric episode, everybody, or nearly so. Very heavy on Rose. As far as your little note from Giuseppe.
Woo! This dude gets high off the fumes of nail polish. What exactly is my decision?
I don't know.
So we're all waiting to find out.
Great! Wonderful! So I have this note,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna hand it to Kieran, and I'm gonna be like, you have 2 choices. You go with me and you help me deal with this, or just stay here and you deal with the police. Because they're going to be on my ass one way or the other. This is not going to be a fun day.
What are we doing now?
Ollie just woke up. He's like, huh?
Well, I haven't seen the note yet.
I understand. Let's cut to the chase real quick on that. Rose, do you tell people what the situation is here?
I've handed Kieran the note. The note tells him pretty much like where I'm going, and I say the arraignment kind of went wrong at the court, so I am either going to be going to this or be in prison. There's no good side to this. I will either be being chased by the police for the rest of the next several weeks, or I will be in jail.
Well, don't overreact now. I'm a fan of a good jailbreak. I've been in a few myself, but I don't think you're going to be haunted. Not if we do it right.
Well, currently there is a timestamp on it, meaning at 11, the bus for the jail will be leaving its stop, its beginning stop, and we have the choice to stop it along the road, steal the bus before it has to make its stop at the county jail, whatever it is, before prison, or we just break through the prison.
Do we know how many people are typically when they transport a prisoner? How many guards are usually accompanying them?
It depends generally on how many prisoners are being transferred. There will always it'll happen in a bus.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Occasionally, it'll happen in just like a van. If there's like one prisoner, they might have just like a driver and a couple of guards with one van with one prisoner. But if there's multiple people, it'll generally be in a bus, and there'll be there'll be a driver plus an officer who's basically a captain, somebody who's in charge of the transfer, plus at a guard for every 5 to 10 prisoners, depending on like what they deem how dangerous they deem the prisoners to be. If the prisoners are considered are all very very dangerous, they're all like murderers and so forth, there'll be more guards. So like for example, if they were transferring 10 people from holding basically at the holding at the Cook County courthouse to the jail, if there were 10 people, there's probably going to be 4 guards, including the driver.
Okay.
There might be one less, there might be 1 or 2 more.
Well, honestly, Rose, the trip over there is probably the best place to hit him, which is why he sent you that memo there. Once they get him actually in lockup, our chances of getting him out are pretty slim. Not without somebody on the inside and a lot of planning.
That's why I said this will either go one of 2 ways. Either I will be being chased by the police, or I will be in jail.
Or you'll pull this off and murder everybody involved, or somehow conceal yourself in such a way that they don't know you did it. Have a little confidence.
I have faith in nothing.
You might have a scenario that goes entirely your way.
Yeah. So maybe
I thoroughly doubt the fate of the cards.
So what you thinking? We dress up like guards?
Why don't we just take it easier? Get some masks or bags with holes in them so they can't see our face. We borrow a vehicle and just hit them quick. If they see anything, Kieran here can, he's done it before, help them forget what they saw.
Or we could do it a different way, where me and Stroka dress up really fascinatingly. And talk to the guards very nicely.
Well, it might work if we can get them to stop the bus.
They're not always very effective.
Broken down car?
A broken down car is always good, yes. And then you have a lady with lots of legs, so you have broken car and oh no, but you never know. It might not work, so you always don't rely on the
Looks.
Yes. But it's a good way to get car to stop, and then car is not broken, we grab and run away.
Just out of character, would any of us know anything about the route between Holding and the actual prison? Like, is it...
Besides the damn map?
Well, I mean, yeah, is it populated? Is it like an area that's going to be out in the country where there's going to be like fairly empty roads between here and there? Like, what's
the bulk of it, Chicago's not. I mean, it's not densely. It's not just wall to wall buildings at this point, but it's Chicago and surroundings are pretty. Like starting out at the courthouse, it's going to be you're going to be going through the city. It's going to be pretty heavily trafficked. A lot of people.
Pretty populous.
Yeah, a lot of people. By the time you get kind of maybe 2/3 of the way there, now you're starting to get into, I wouldn't call them suburbs because suburbs don't exist, but like little dotted communities and so forth. And then Cook County Jail itself is kind of in the middle of it, like many prisons. It's in the middle of a field. It's like big out in the open. So there is a, once you get to that, like the 2/3 to the between 2/3 of the way and all the way out there, there would be potentially opportunities for like open space.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for.
To work around, so that you don't have as many people around. Yeah.
So pulling out a map, I kind of find a spot like that. I have a bit of an idea. Here looks like a fairly good spot to avoid any unwanted interference. Maybe I make a run up to the hardware store and get a couple of boxes of nails and we lay them out on the street. It's kind of hard to keep driving with flat tires. We hit them while they're stalled.
I was thinking of getting him even before he got on the bus.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, smart guy.
Let's assume for a second that Giuseppe has decided to turn state's witness and has gone into federal custody. A couple of FBI agents go to pick him up to take him to a safe house.
Yeah, how many FBI agents in mind? Like with identification?
Above table, this is a part where I would need people to spend a lot of moxie to help me with this. Happen. Because under connections, one of them is a federal agency mole, but it costs 12 moxie.
I'm down for that, though.
And the explanation that I would have for this is, and this is something that obviously Craig can strike down or not. The reason Giuseppe got caught was because Kieran was the one who ratted him out in order to earn favor with the feds, which is exactly the kind of thing that Kieran would do, especially in the earlier part of the episodes, like right after we met him.
Yeah.
That is totally something Kieran would have done before he learned about his connection with Rose.
Okay, if you want to go that direction, that becomes a flashback that's going to cost you a moxie period. Before we make a now, let's this is on Rose too, as far as like a way to handle this. So we're metagaming a little bit here, but that's okay because it's really interesting. So it becomes a question of
really going to complicate Kieran and Rose's relationship.
Well, it becomes surprise. Kieran and Rose's relationship is weird. Oh no. But the situation then becomes less about like breaking somebody out of the bus, and it becomes this is actually something that one of the things that popped up with people here was this is effectively an infiltration and theft job. It's just that the object of the theft is a person.
Yep.
It's a living, breathing thing that can scream.
Yep. It's a heist.
It's
person.
Yeah, well, but
the person is willing, so therefore it probably won't scream.
But I think
at
least one or two of you made a comment about doing like an actual thief job kind of thing, where this would be like more of a covert thing than where it was, where you guys busted into the warehouse. Yes, that was a heist too, but that was like guns a-blazing. At least part of it was.
We're literally going to be walking into a police station. Or,
No. A courthouse.
Oh, the courthouse. Yeah, we're going to be the courthouse and trying to get him out without raising any suspicion.
You're going to be going into a building where, except when there isn't a big trial going on, 10% of the people in that building are packing heat.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's, you're talking constables and guards and holding and cops and sheriffs that are in and out. And that's just the legal heat.
And now I am worried.
But it sounds like a lot of fun, so.
But let's do it. Yeah.
Sure. We will proceed with Kieran's plan for now. If shit hits the fan,
Okay.
we'll have Ollie's plan as backup.
All right.
So great. It has to work, right?
Here's what I need from all of you now.
Just so crazy that everyone will probably die.
I need 12 moxie from you guys.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
willing to pitch in 2. I need to hang on to 3 just in case stuff goes bad.
That's my contribution.
Kieran
I'll
will put
throw in
his
everything
2
I have.
plus his 1 for the flashback. So Kieran's out of Moxie.
What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
On stupid computer. There we go. 1,
You only need 4, Satroka.
2,
Then we're at 12.
4. There, I keep 1 for me.
Now, actually, I'll give 1 more and you can keep 2. And we'll both have 2.
Then
No,
everyone but Kieran will have
one
2.
One
Yep.
of Kieran's Moxie had to be spent on the flashback, so Kieran only contributed 2.
Okay, fine.
Oh.
There.
Yeah, one of his was already
we're
out.
good. Yeah, there we go. Now we're good. Now we're square.
Yeah.
Look at all the moxie I get.
You realize how difficult this is going to be now when we don't have Moxie to spend, right?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Uh-huh.
I have perks, don't worry.
1 for you. 1 for you. 1 for you. 1 for you. That is pure balls, Moxie. Nothing but big clanging testicles. That all you have.
I never realized that we had metal balls.
Yeah.
So, how many badges are we getting to impersonate FBI agents?
And let's do this for the whole session here too. Let's look at identity, virtue, vice for each of you. Let's try to see if we can't get at least like another moxie to everybody.
I'm reckless, so
I as well.
I don't know if that counts as recklessness, but
Well, it's about to, so we'll call it that too. Yeah, sure, why not?
And
So,
arrogance.
oh, yeah.
And I guess this would also count as like trickster because I'm fooling someone.
Mhm. I also gain moxie when I have a new experience.
Well,
So,
I'm giving you guys 1 apiece first if you got something that fits, and so I think the only person that's left is Kieran. Do you have something?
Kieran has been nothing but reliable. Always come through.
With those connections.
With the connections or a plan, he's always got something.
Okay, I'll give you that, just so that you don't die immediately.
Thank you.
Um,
That's great. Lovely to know we're all gonna die.
Not immediately. So here's what we will have to do is in between sessions, you guys talk a little bit about how you want to approach all of this, because yes, you have your contact. We need to invent him. Chris, if you want to help me a little bit with that, like kind of how you did with the NPCs from the
How about Major Fulio?
I'm gonna do this. You can't have an FBI mold. The person cannot be one of the untouchables.
Well, obviously because they're the untouchables.
Yeah.
They're untouchable.
Just
Being untouchable,
Yeah,
I was able to
just-
manipulate them.
yeah, just to be clear. So we'll have to establish who that is, and the group of you will have to kind of figure out, how you want to go about getting in, what you're going to need. I mean, and keeping in mind that you've got a few hours in this. Basically, this plan was concocted over eggs and bacon.
yeah.
And 11 o'clock is when you gotta be there before 11. So you anything that you're gonna try to pull off. You guys can have spend the time
Eggs, bacon, and nail polish.
spend the time discussing it, but you don't have a day to procure a piece of equipment or something, like that sort of thing. So anything that you're gonna do has to be something that you can turn over fairly quick. But that said, Rose and Kieran both have contacts that you could probably get a hold of basic stuff pretty quickly if you needed a particular piece of equipment or something. But there you go.
Rose is gonna finish painting her nails for breakfast and then throw on her blonde wig and go in as if she's this lovely, cute lady.
I mean,
Because that's all she could do.
the plan is FBI take him, so some of us need to pose as FBI agents. I imagine your mole's gonna get us some badges.
Yep.
Okay.
Kieran already has disguises.
Okay.
I don't know if they would believe me as FBI.
No, probably not.
So I can stay
In the car.
in the car. Maybe.
Let's try not to leave somebody sitting outside the action for the entire time if everything takes place inside.
No, she goes in mist form. She can go up through the ventilation system. She's our eyes in the sky.
Oh, that's a good plan.
And then
Let me throw this out at you. You're all going to level up before the next game session.
Excellent.
And Rose, you and I are going to need to talk about the gun situation.
Okay. Side.
Just
Which one?
so you guys can. We are going to get ourselves ready. We are going to have ourselves a jailbreak, essentially. This will be fun, and we've got some time in between this session and the next one to figure out how what kind of planning you want to do for that. I think we'll call that the game. This is looking interesting, and we're going to level up for the next one and figure out kind of the plan of attack, and we'll go from there, everybody. So, thank you, everybody. That's game. Anybody have anything that they feel they need to blurt out at the internet?
Yeah. This Saturday on Unmade Gaming is the monthly charity games for Extra Life. And I am going to be playing Vampire for the first time.
Ooh.
So, I haven't played since the 90s. Okay, that's a lie, because I played for like ages. But I started playing then, and then I played that system for ages. So I'm gonna try the new system, play a new Vampire. So come check that out and donate to kids' hospitals.
I find it interesting that you're playing Vampire for Extra Life. Is anybody calling this particular round of charity fundraising like Extra Undeath or?
No, well, because the Vampire game is only one of many.
Okay, I gotcha.
It's not just the one. If it was a themed thing, yeah, that would be awesome.
All right. Anybody else, or are we wrapping her up?
I'm good.
Sounds like we're wrapping her up. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.